huge games to preview. There's a lot more huge games. We're going to preview these two for week 14. And the first one here is in the NFC North with the Chicago Bears, who are 9-3. They are at the Green Bay Packers, who are 8-3-1. Josh, I'm going to ask you this question to start off the preview. Are you shocked, like I am, that the Packers are almost a touchdown favorite in this game at home?
Yes. And to be frank with you, yes, this is the oldest rivalry in the NFL, but this is the biggest game I can remember since maybe 2013, week 17.
I
Like,
would say 2010, the NFC Championship game.
yeah, prior to this game, that was the big game I could remember was the 2010 NFC Championship. It, I like the 2013 game didn't even dawn on me because yes, it's supposedly a rivalry, but Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, now Jordan Love have all dominated for the Packers, and the Bears have been, you know, quarterbacking in wilderness. And maybe Caleb Williams is finally going to be their compass, but that remains to be seen. By the way, did you see that the Bears-Packers game in week 16 got
Week
flexed?
16 is going to be 8:20. Eagles Commanders is going to be at 5 o'clock. I did see that.
Yes, on Saturday. I originally thought they were flexing that into the Sunday night game, which is currently Bengals at Dolphins.
No, they'll flex Patriots, Ravens into that. They announced these two Saturday games before the season. They just never announced a time, and they can't flex out Saturday games. So these are going to stay.
So, actually, I like your Patriots-Ravens pick, but this other one I would mention to be flexed in would be that Jaguars-Broncos game. But getting back to this game, it's interesting because this is the first of two meetings that they're going to play each other in 3 weeks. The Bears will host the Cleveland Browns in between these two games, while the Packers will be at the Denver Broncos. Thus, in my opinion, this first game is more important for the Green Bay Packers.
Well, plus they're also at home.
Not just because they're at home, as you just mentioned, but because they have the much more difficult opponent in between these two games. So, and here's the thing. You and I have both been criticizing Jordan Love. Of course, you picked him to be regular season MVP. We both have the Packers making it to the Super Bowl. And it's been an up and down season with Jordan Love. Of course, we remember what happened during the game in Cleveland, and he had that clunker on Monday Night Football against Philadelphia. But you go back to last week against Detroit, he was firing the ball to the likes of Christian Watson and Dontavian Wicks, and they were running the ball well, and the defense was playing extremely well with Micah Parsons. They swept the Lions for the first time since 2020. So,
yeah, by the way, I know we weren't on the air last week. That result did not shock me. Green Bay was one of my upset picks for the week because I saw the way that they handled the Lions week 1, and I thought it was going to happen very similar to that, which is why I'm saying I think this game comes down to the line of scrimmage. I think it comes down to the Bears offensive line against the Packers defensive line, and it comes down to the Packers all line against the Bears defensive line. Whichever line of scrimmage wins the battle is going to win the game. As much as we want to talk about the quarterbacks and the skill position players, both of these teams like to run the football. Both of these teams run similar schemes. Both of these teams can get out of the quarterback. And again, we know both these teams can run the football. Whichever team does that more successfully, I believe is going to win the game.
I also think that whichever team can establish their running back, not just in the running game, as you're talking about, but also in the passing game, that could make a huge difference. Because if you're able to get the running back involved in the passing game, that adds another element for the defense to worry about.
Well, neither of these two teams in front of their running backs a ton this year. Um, I think it's going to come down to, again, which team can run the football, maybe which team can hit one explosive play, whether Caleb Williams could hit a Roma Dunze or DJ Moore, or Jordan Love could hit a Christian Watson over the top. I think you're seeing Green Bay having to really adapt without Tucker Kraft, which was a huge injury for them offensively. Jordan Love is playing well. I think the Packers are going to win the game, but I think it's a 3-point game. I would take the points with the Bears all day.
You know, this game wasn't originally in the 4:30 slot. It was flexed into that. They took Bengals Bills out of the 4:00 slot and replaced it with it.
That's right. Good call, which I don't blame them for at the time, but let me tell you, Bengals Bills is a really good game.
Yes, but this game has a lot more significance, given that right now the Bears are the number 1 seed at 9-3, which again nobody was expecting. At least I know I wasn't expecting. And if they win this game, it puts them in great shape rather to possibly keep the number 1 seed.
What do you think the motivating factor is for Chicago when everybody is saying, yeah, they're the number 1 seed, but they have no shot to actually be the number 1 seed?
I think that's the motivating factor right there. Nobody really trusts them. So,
I mean, they're talking about this Bears team like they're the 2021 Titans with Ryan Tannehill, who got that number 1 seed and then lost to Cincinnati.
So, hear me out on this. You remember when the Eagles lost Carson Wentz and everybody was like writing them off basically after that?
Everybody except for the people in Philadelphia.
It feels kind of like, again, I get it. The Eagles, that team lost Carson Wentz and they had to turn to Nick Foles. I understand that. But, so it's different circumstances. But do you see where I'm going with this?
No, I think this Bears team is more reminiscent of that Titans team I mentioned than that Eagles team.
It feels like the Bears are, the way I see it, and the reason I'm comparing them to that Eagles team that went on to win the Super Bowl is because, again, when the Eagles had to go to Nick Foles, they really took on that underdog mentality. You remember they were putting on the dog masks. And
of course I remember. It's my team.
and that was the first time they won the Super Bowl.
Yes.
That's where I'm going with this. It feels like people are saying, yeah, but with the Chicago Bears. Kind of like how people were saying, yeah, but with the Philadelphia Eagles.
You can make an argument, though, they're saying, yeah, but about the New England Patriots over in the other conference, too.
That's a fair point. But at least in my head, the comparison between that Eagles team and this Bears team makes sense. I'm trying to explain it as best as I can.
We'll see if the Bears can really bring out that dog mask on Sunday and pull out the upset. This is Josh's favorite rivalry in the NFL. It is the 6-6 Steelers against the Ravens 6-6. As Josh has always said, he's going to find his favorite place on the couch, and he's going to find a way to watch this game because it is for first place in the AFC North.
Yes, and the only way I'm going to be able to watch this game on Sunday is through NFL Red Zone. Because since the Browns are playing the Titans at home at 1 p.m., CBS isn't allowed to show a 1 p.m. game here in Cleveland. What the hell? But, yes, this is my favorite rivalry in all of the NFL. For me, it is a top 3 rivalry in all of sports. This has been one of the fiercest rivalries I can remember. You've had the greats like Joe. I have to mention him, Joe Flacco. You've had Troy Polamalu, Big Ben, Hines Ward, Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, Ed Reed, countless others. You've had, they always play each other twice a year, but God, they play each other a third time in the postseason at least 7 or 8 times. Of course, they had the 2008 AFC Championship game. You had the game late in the season in 2008 in Baltimore when Ben Roethlisberger got his nose dislocated and they readjusted it. You had the Antonio Brown game where he stretched the ball over the goal line. Like, this game always has a lot riding on it. It's not just for bragging rights. It's for AFC North supremacy. And it's no different in this game. Steelers-Ravens should not be a 1 o'clock game. It should never be a 1 p.m. game. Never.
Josh, I'm going to make you angry, I think, with the answer I'm about to give you. Not only is this game not in my top 5 games this week at all, it's not even close.
Okay.
I don't care who wins this game. This game has no juice for me. In my opinion, neither of these two teams are worthy of being a playoff team. I think they both unequivocally, positively stink. The Steelers have no offensive identity at all. The Ravens have no offensive identity at all. Lamar Jackson is either hurt, has lost a step, or forgot how to play football this year. The Steelers, Tony Romo is drawing the same play the Buffalo Bills are running 30 times on Sunday, and the Steelers can't stop it. They just cut Darius Slay for Adam Thielen. They have the most expensive defense in the NFL, and they can't stop the run, even worse than what my Eagles did on Friday against the Bears. They have no offensive deep threat besides DK Metcalf, and they're forced either for the ball to Darnell Washington or Kenneth Gainwell. Where the hell Pat Freiermuth is going in this Arthur Smith offense, I have no idea. And quite frankly, if you ask me, neither of these two teams deserve it. And the most entertaining team in the entire division is the team that has 3 wins because their quarterback has been hurt almost the whole season.
Yeah. The AFC North has been extremely disappointing this season. From the Ravens all the way down to the Browns. All 4 teams have been extremely disappointing this season.
It wouldn't shock me if this game ended up being 14-10. It also wouldn't shock me if Baltimore blew the Steelers out because Lamar just finds the run game with Derrick Henry because the Steelers can't stop a nosebleed.
Well, we thought the Ravens would do that against the Bengals, but
this guy did not. This guy actually picked the Bengals to upset the Ravens. So no, that is wrong. The Ravens have been exposed, but so is Pittsburgh. These two teams are not good. They're both terrible.
I know, but for me, it's still.
And by the way, this whole rivalry thing. Everything you mentioned about the rivalry before I started this topic was over 10 years ago, mostly.
And you think I give a shit?
Again, to me, rivalries are all based off of what's happening now. I don't see the great rivalry in the NFL right now besides Chiefs-Bills. I think right now that's the only real rivalry in the NFL. Rams-Seahawks could get there. Niners-Rams could get there. But even like Niners, Seahawks, back in the day, it was a great rivalry. Now it's not. That's how I look at rivalries. It's what are you doing for me now? And since Joe Flacco and Ben Roethlisberger have left, and we've had this iteration of Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky or Russell Wilson versus Lamar or Snoop Huntley or whoever the Ravens want to throw out there, it doesn't feel the same.
No, it doesn't, but it's still Pittsburgh-Baltimore. And for me,
okay, that's great. That means it's going to be 13-10.
And in this case, I don't care. I want to watch it.
Well, how about this? If both teams were 1-15 going into week 18, hypothetically, would you still want to watch it? Probably not.
Actually, yes.
Okay. Well, you are fit for rivalries then, I guess. This game's got no juice for me. I mean, they're talking about Mike Tomlin potentially getting fired.
Oh, wait a minute. Did you hear about this? They were not only were Steelers fans booing Renegade, which is the song they play at Acrisure Stadium when the Steelers defense needs a big stop, but they were fans at the game against the Bills were chanting "Fire Tomlin."
Because they're sick of it, because it's been 9 years of 9-7 or 9-8 BS. And that's what this is. I think Steelers fans are finally waking up. They're watching the Patriots going, wait a minute. In 1 year, they go from 3 wins to 10, and we've been winning 8 games for 9 years. What the bleep are we doing?
But it's not in the Steelers' culture to fire coaches midway through the season.
Well, you know what? Maybe they need to change the culture. It wasn't in the Bears' culture to have an offense for the first 100 years of their existence until this year. I mean, seriously. Well, they were stuck on the 85 Bears since 1985. It's now 2025. And now they're like, holy crap, we have an offense. What about the Packers, who for 15 years didn't give Aaron Rodgers a defense? Why do they have no idea how to react to this team? Because their defense is actually good and they don't know what it's like. Hey, Steelers, maybe you should try investing in the offensive side of the ball for once in your life.
I mean, they did draft Will Howard out of Ohio State.
Oh, goody. You know what? Mike Tomlin could probably win 8 games with him. It won't matter. They'll win 8, 9 games. They might win the division, and then they're going to get their doors blown off. Do you know the last time they won a playoff game, when they scored an offensive touchdown?
Good God, it's been a while. I think
it was the Dolphins with Matt Moore, because the game they won against the Chiefs, which was one of their last playoff wins, I believe, they kicked 6 field goals.
I remember they did that in the season opener last year against Atlanta.
Like, Jesus. Like Pittsburgh. I think these fans have fun. I think this NFL season, with all these bad teams all of a sudden being good, has finally woken up Steelers fans to be like, what the hell are we doing? We have Aaron Rodgers and we can't throw the ball more than 5 yards.
I know. I don't get
it. They got their. When's the last time you see the Steelers defense run on for 100 yards? 101, 250, and Tony Romo is drawing the freaking play on the teleprompter, telling the Steelers, you need to do this to stop it. And they're just standing there watching it over and over and over and over again.
Aye.
All right. Let's get to our other Week 14 top games. There's so many games this week. There's so many more entertaining games, in my opinion, than Steelers-Ravens. So I know it's on your list, but we're starting here. At number 5, in my opinion, the collapse for the AFC South for the Indianapolis Colts starts here. They've always struggled in Jacksonville. Why the Jags are underdogs, I have no idea. I think the Jaguars should be favored. Liam Cohen seems like he's the right coach for Trevor Lawrence. I'll take the Jaguars. At number 4, the game that you mentioned was flexed out for Bears, Packers, Bengals, Bills, because I think this is the season for both teams. Because if the Bills lose this game, there's a real chance they're not going to make the playoffs. We already know they're not going to win the division because New England is going to win the division. They do have a game next week in New England that Buffalo, in my opinion, must win. And just like they had a game week 9 against the Chiefs, could there be a look-ahead spot there for Buffalo? And the Bengals have been running the football well with Chase Brown. They're going to have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both back, I believe. I think the Bengals have a real shot to go in here and upset Buffalo. Number 3, we already talked about it, Bears, Packers. Can the Bears prove that they are a legitimate number 1 seed in the NFC? And for the Packers, can they take back control of this division with a big win against their division rival? Number 2, I mentioned this earlier. This is a playoff game for the Houston Texans and the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. I know you're going to have the game on mute, Josh, because I know that you can't stand listening to Chris Collinsworth talk about Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be talking about a lot about Patrick Mahomes potentially being on his back a lot if Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson have their way. And then number one to me, this feels like a shootout. I think this will be the most entertaining game of the week. Thursday night, another game that feels like a playoff game. Cowboys Lions. I do think the loser of this game will not make the playoffs. If Dallas runs the table, they not only have a chance to win the division, but they would have a chance to also sneak into the wild card if they cannot get the division. For the Lions, obviously, if they don't make the playoffs, no matter how the season ends, no matter what their injuries look like, it would be a disappointment. So here we go. Thursday night, Sunday night, 2 1 o'clock games, the 425. The number 6 game on my list, by the way, was Eagles Chargers. So Steelers Ravens at best was 7 for me.
Okay. I actually did a top 6 list. So I'm bending the rules a little bit. My honorary mention is actually Titans Browns, even though it's 2 terrible teams. It's Cam Ward against Shedeur Sanders. If you remember, all the talk leading up to the draft was Cam Ward is going to go number 1, and Shedeur Sanders is going to be shortly behind him in the first round. Well, that's not how it played out. Cam Ward goes number 1, and then Shedeur falls all the way to the 5th round. Now they're set to go head-to-head in a matchup of 2 terrible teams. But if the Browns win, they pick up their 4th win of the season. And surprisingly, they're not eliminated from playoff contention yet, which is shocking. But still, so that's my honorary mention. At number 6, the game you also have at number 6, if Justin Herbert was healthy, this game would be higher. Eagles, Chargers. I feel like this is going to be an Eagles home game, even though it's in LA, because, well, SoFi hasn't really felt like a Chargers home game or a Rams home game, although more so Rams than Chargers, I would say. But still, I like the Chargers, but if Justin Herbert is out, it takes some of the excitement and interest away from this game. And the fact that the Eagles are having a total offensive identity crisis, it takes some of the intrigue away from this game for me. At number 5, no, I will not have the TV on mute. I'm willing to listen to Chris Collinsworth this time around.
Does it change a tune? What changes the tune?
Because the last time I did that and tried to listen to the game through the ESPN app on radio, I couldn't get the broadcast.
Okay.
So you are right. This is a playoff eliminator. It is the Houston Texans taking on the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead. And I think that's what gives the Chiefs an advantage, the fact that it's a night game in Arrowhead. You know how well Patrick Mahomes plays in Arrowhead during night games, and I think he might be able to find his rhythm. But if Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson have a say, he might end up on his backside. But by the same token, I don't fully trust Houston's offensive line. And C.J. Stroud is just coming back. They actually played better offensively with Davis Mills, I felt like. So that's a little interesting caveat in this whole thing. At number 4, you mentioned it. The Colts, they do not play well when they go down to Duval County for whatever reason. The Jaguars have just continued to beat them over and over and over again. And now the Colts are in free fall. And here the Jaguars are, even without Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas not playing his best, they are now currently, leading the division. And Jacksonville has already played their 2 games against Houston. Indy, I believe, still has another game against Houston left. And these 2 teams have to play each other again down or up in Indy. I believe that is week 16, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe week 17. But either way, I think this game is more important for Jacksonville because they need to, because you want to show that, yes, we are a legitimate contender. At number 3, I've got the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Detroit Lions. Thursday night football. Amon-Ra St. Brown, we'll see if he's healthy for this game. I don't expect Sam Laporta to be healthy. This game is indoors, so the weather's not going to be a factor. I don't trust Detroit's defense, and I think they're going to be without Terry and Arnold, so I expect Dak Prescott to go nuts. But it will be a shootout because that's just how Dan Campbell is. But if I had to make a prediction right now, Dallas is walking out of Detroit with a win.
Yeah, and you know what scares me about that is everybody's on the Cowboys. And I feel like I should be on the Cowboys too, and I'm doing it in spite.
Fair enough. At number 2, the Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers. This game was flexed into the 4:30 slot for this week. It was absolutely the right decision. I would have suggested they flex out Texans Chiefs, but they obviously didn't. But we know the playoff implications. They play each other twice in the next 3 weeks. Like I said, I think it's more important for the Packers because they will be at the Denver Broncos next week before playing at the Bears, whereas the Bears host the Cleveland Browns. So even if Chicago loses this game, they get a get-right game next week. So it's more important for the Packers. And at number 1, this should be no surprise, Steelers-Ravens. No explanation needed.